we click record, and then there was everyone with sports cars decided to come out and start driving on the main road, and you just hear on the mics go, and you're just like, and at one point in the podcast, I was like, and to our dear guests, apologies for the headphones. We're just gonna hold here for a second while this guy passes by.
But that's ridiculous because Strachov is almost all the time is empty. Yes.
Yeah. Also fire trucks. I think like those.
I'm waiting. Yeah, the ambulance is the one thing I'm missing now.
The 8-wheeled like industrial, truck as well. That weighs like 100 tons.
Okay, I feel we could make a podcast in itself. So, guys, thank you for bearing with us as we complain about the mishaps of recording a podcast. But it's also the behind the scene of what's the reality recording a podcast. So, we'll come back to the Shenanigans. Today's titled Nomad in Prague, Music, Identity, and Letting It All Out, where we will be sharing the story of Oleg. Thank you very much for being here. How are you?
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
I'm really good.
Yeah.
Really good.
Can't complain. Weather's really nice. It's peaceful. Yeah. There's no one passing by now, so it should be all right. Okay, so Oleg, few key topic we're going to be discussing today. We've got the fact that you speak 6 languages, which is just mind-boggling. You work in tech, so also your full-time job, a bit discovering what's the story behind that. Your music side, because you've got your own band. You've got a song actually called Prague, which we're going to discover a bit more in detail. So going more in depth to the creative side, what brought you to Prague, what's the story behind that, what's like the big next chapter, and also kudos to you, bravo to our guest today, first time on the podcast as well. So a lot of things happening in one go. So let's start from the beginning. Where are you from? What brought you to Prague, and how was it when you came here?
Yeah, so I'm Oleg. I'm from Russia originally. So I moved to Prague about 4 years ago with my wife. And the one thing that mainly brought me here was actually curiosity, because since childhood, I would say I was really, really interested in other cultures.
Mm-hmm.
And it happened because in my home region, there was really this one program going, the exchange program with the US especially. And the US teachers and students were coming to our home region to national parks to participate into activities related to animals, upbringing and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And my parents were also part of that program. So I was around other cultures all my childhood, especially the US and Japanese cultures. So
nice, okay.
And then it was like, okay, at some point when I was a student at the university in St. Petersburg, I was like, okay, where could I go further from that? What could I discover? Maybe something else is there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's where it got to the point that I went to the European Union for the first time. It was Italy.
Okay.
And it was, for me, it was just crazy, culture shock, really different, yeah. And at that point, I was starting to learn Italian language. Yeah, and then my company, actually, I worked for, offered me relocation. I was hoping to Italy, but
don't blame him there.
Yeah.
Landlocked country or Italy.
Yeah, but it turned out to be Prague, and it was like, I've never been to Prague like before. I didn't know what to expect. I had zero expectations.
You didn't even do some research online to already get
nothing, just okay. Nothing. Completely and I was like, okay, let's do it, because I'm just, to an extent, an adventurous person. So if I have very ambiguous circumstances, let's say that, I would just take it and see where it goes.
Okay. And I want to ask, first of all, what was because you mentioned culture shock in Italy, which is quite understandable, but was there any funny moment or something that really grabbed you the most? You were like, okay, this is like a memory I have of coming to Italy that really defines what I meant by culture shock? If any.
Yeah. I think the one situation that got me thinking all the time, like, okay, this is very, very different, was that the fact that Italian people, for example, they swear a lot at each other, but at the same time they seem to be very friendly in a sense that they could swear to with each other to argue on something, but then after that they just talk normally and that's it. So they let it out, and then everything that happens afterwards is just being really really friendly. And
Love that.
that was really confusing to me in a bit because some people were swearing at me for some reason. I didn't speak Italian very well at that time, so I couldn't understand.
So someone was just randomly swearing at you in Italian.
Yes, for some reason,
Welcome.
because I don't know why. Yeah, but then the very same person just approached me, speaking like very friendly, wondering where I was from, what I'm doing here, and also considering that people were very very helpful when I got confused with situations like low battery or something
Mhm.
else, don't know where to go. People were very very helpful in
Okay.
that sense. So I think that's the roller coaster of emotions. That was a culture shock.
Angry, happy, angry,
Yes, yes,
happy.
yes, yes.
It's like relationship advice we're getting. I'll just let it out and then we'll talk like nothing
Yeah,
happened.
yeah,
I love that. So you decide to learn Italian for obvious reasons. Your company sends you to Czech Republic. Um, at that moment, how many languages you already spoke? I'm guessing you spoke Russian and Italian at that point. English as well?
yeah.
Or yeah.
English. Yeah,
So what were the other three? Because Czech then came around, I'm guessing, because of Czech
yeah,
Republic.
yeah.
What's the other two then?
So Ukrainian was one of them.
Yeah.
That's one of my mother languages because I was born in Ukrainian cultured family
Yeah.
as well. So since childhood, that was also my language. And another language came around that was a surprise for me at some point because before working for a company that relocated me here, I was working as a technical support engineer at the other company where I had a lot of colleagues from Poland.
Okay.
So I communicated with them well in English at some point, but then I got also curious about like the culture, and I was interested in learning how Polish is similar or different to my other Slavic languages that I already know. And step by step, I just started diving into it. And at some point, I discovered that, okay, that's where I start to understand it. Then where can I get from that? So I started learning grammar and started reading. And then I started communicating in Polish. And after moving to Prague, I went to Poland for the first time. I loved it completely. And uh, I was shy to speak Polish at first, but then I got to know Polish friend, and it was just like that. So
Any tips, like for myself and for the audience, on how the bloody hell do you learn six languages? Like you've mastered it. Like what's the best tip you can give? Like just practice in real life. Spend time reading. Spend time watching movies. What would you say is the one thing that really worked the most for you to learn the language?
yeah, I think all of those things like speaking or watching shows
Hmm.
in the language you want to learn or reading are good, but the root the root point that I would make here is you should really have great motivation. So I think you should have a reason for learning. For example, for me, the reason was that I was really, really curious and interested in communicating with people uh, effectively. Like, and for example, to establish trust when I needed to work on something together, right? So that's where it went with Polish, for instance. With Italian, I loved the culture, so I wanted to discover more. And to discover more, you and I think you need to learn the context, and to learn the context, you also need to
The
learn the language.
language.
So
Seems so logical said that way. Actually, I love that. Let's connect it a bit with Prague because there's a connection there. Before I bring out I want to say the how it helps a language when you come to a new country, which is as important. I do want to know how it was for you when you first arrived in Czech Republic. What was that first impression? what marked you the most? Were you sad still about leaving Italy, or were you like, okay, this isn't too bad?
Yeah, so I was I was very curious when I arrived, and some things were surprising to me. uh, I had zero expectations again. So
Yep.
at every corner, for me, there was a beauty. For example, in terms of architecture, let's say, or in terms of food or culture. So I wouldn't say I was sad. I think there was a point where I got a little bit depressed or feeling nostalgic about the time that I had before in Russia with friends and
Mhm.
family and stuff. Because
Understandable.
here, when moving to Prague, I didn't have no one besides my wife,
Yep.
and yeah, I had colleagues, of course, but it was pretty different. And yeah, I think I think I was genuinely very curious what I could discover here. And even at first month, I started traveling around Czech Republic or going to Germany as well. So I wanted to connect the dots to make sense of the place where I'm at quickly.
That's amazing. Like, I think 99% of people coming to just stay in Prague. He learns the language, goes all around Czech Republic, discovers the countries next door. You're like the perfect foreigner. That's amazing. Okay. And I mean, as obvious as this is, but how much did it help you to settle in? And I want to say to feel less, if that is the case, to feel less as a foreigner when moving to Czech Republic, having the language there. Did it help you in settling in?
It certainly helped to learn the language itself because before coming here, I already knew, well, I already spoke to some extent like three Slavic languages, right?
Yep. Should
And
help you.
Czech was, to me, was pretty similar to Polish.
Mhm.
So I just needed to learn uh, general false friends that were very surprising to me. um, Comparing to Polish. And yeah, I think generally it helped to learn to establish communication quickly with people to even go into institutions. Because even though for the first months I couldn't really speak Czech because I was very shy with pronunciation and stuff, but I could understand even when going for a residence permit
Mhm.
for some medical services or
Yeah.
something else. I could understand what was told to me, but I was very shy in speaking.
Okay. And do you feel like that because six languages and each with each languages, hello Lola, with each languages, I feel it's kind of like your own personality in a way. And so is there like six Olegs up there? And how do you manage to balance that? How do you feel like do you think in a certain language when you speak another language? Like what's the process on that side?
Yeah, I also believe that when you learn the language enough, you start to have personality in
Yep.
it. I think though that I didn't get to the point where I had, uh, as you said, six Olegs, one for each language, right? Because I don't consider that I speak, for example, Czech, Polish, uh, very good to be able to think in those languages instantly,
Okay. Okay.
right? So I wouldn't consider that I have a personality in those ones. I would say that for English, that's the case. For Russian, for Hungarian, and also it started to become the case in Italian as well. So I do feel that when I speak, when I speak English, for instance, I um, I actually go to the point that okay, at this time, I'm very aware that if I spoke Russian to you instead,
Yeah.
for instance, that was pretty different. That would be pretty different in terms of pronunciation and character, let's say. So I'm really aware of it, but when I'm speaking Polish or Czech, it's not there yet, I would say.
Okay. I think it's fair to say that knowing that many languages or languages in general is an art. And that kind of leads me to the creative side. There's also music. That's something really important in your life. Before we get into the actual music you produce, I want to kind of start off with when did that start, and what's the story behind to what led you to I don't like the word working, but being in music today.
We would need to start at very, very ancient times. I think.
You got time? We got time.
Okay.
I mean, in simple words, like what age you were when it started, and what
Yeah.
made you think, hey, you know what, I want to push this.
Yeah. So I started, let's say, at age 15 when
Okay.
I got my first guitar from my dad. I started playing, and it got me really, really excited because all my childhood, my father is a singer-songwriter, and he would sing me all kinds of songs, all my childhood, from songs in English from very famous American folk artists,
Okay.
or songs in Italian as well, or in Russian, or in Ukrainian, or something else that he would know. And at the age of 15, I got my first guitar for my birthday, classic. And that's where I started to learn chords. And the funny thing that got me, I think, very motivated, got me to push further, to want to push further, was that my dad was pretty busy with doing academic stuff because he's a professor. And he was like, okay, I'll show you 2 or 3 chords, and then
You
you'll
figured it
just
out.
figure out it on your own. And that was it. And the first 2 or 3 chords was very, I don't know, excited me so much in terms of how they sounded, how it translated to many songs, because many songs out there are just based on 4 chords, let's say. So learning just these 2 or 3 chords, I could play like majority of pop song, let's say. And that got me really curious. And after that, I don't know, I listened to a lot of music like Linkin Park, Nirvana, or something,
Ooh.
something, something very
Good
pop.
choice.
Yeah, or something very pop. And yeah, from there, it was really that was really amusing moment at one point where in school, I think the last grade, we were having week of English language, and together with my classmate, we prepared a song by Nirvana. And at that time, he was attending the music school, and I wasn't. I was
Yep.
learning on my own, and he didn't sing, but I couldn't sing either. But he was just like, no, 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 you should try. And I tried to sing, and I think after the performance, he told me, "Okay, you shouldn't sing like anymore because your voice is not that good." Like, he was like just
Wow.
like that,
Pretty direct there.
and it actually pushed me to learn to sing as well. So he became like a little bit motivation in a sense that,
Mhm.
okay, you tell me that I cannot sing, then I should learn it actually.
So the no is kind of the driving factor that pushed you into it.
It turned out to be yes. Yeah.
Well, thank you to him then. That's a
Yeah,
fucking cool
yeah.
story.
And after that, I would say step by step, I started gaining knowledge in how to play guitar,
Yep.
like more chords, solos, parts. Started to listen to the songs, try to recognize the structure and notes by ear, and like it got to the point, for example, where after school, instead of doing homework, I would just sit there, on the floor, listening to random song for I don't know how many times in a row, just trying to figure out by ear the notes that they were playing there.
Mhm.
So I could go for 4 or 6 hours a day, just trying to train myself. And it went on for a while, and then I started to try to compose something lyrically, and that's where I discovered the power maybe of reading, because when I thought that maybe the best way to approach this is to read classical literature because of all the metaphors, all the adjectives, because it gets really profound in a sense. For example,
The
where
depthness to us.
yeah,
Mhm.
and I think reading classical stuff really helped a lot in terms of how would lyrics could be conveyed when you can map emotion to the word, and then another person that reads it and listens to the music can uh, feel something or can recognize themselves in the lyrics in a way, and maybe that would help to convey my feelings as well.
Mhm.
So, and that's how I eventually got to producing. So it was like the journey, I would say, of 10 plus years.
Bloody hell.
Yeah.
I've got so many questions that aren't even on the scripts. Apologies in advance. Maybe Pavel has a few as well. But
I do.
yeah.
You can learn how to sing.
Yep.
So the question from Pavel: Can you learn how to sing? I'm repeating it for the mics, but
I think yes. I think everybody can learn to sing because at one point when the my classmate told me that no, you shouldn't. I couldn't really sing. I couldn't really stay on any note. Like I could just do this, and that's it. I was basically without a voice, and then it turned out to be really quite good, I would say. And as my vocal teacher would always say that you can learn to sing, you just need reason to. Like if
it's
you,
motivation, Paul.
yeah,
Continue.
so it's just motivation. So for example, if you really want to sing and perform because you don't see yourself otherwise, then you can learn to sing, I would say. Or if you have some other motivation, for instance, you really want to, I don't know, have this song for something, I don't know, for your girlfriend, for a wife, because you
Mhm.
want to surprise her.
Yep.
That's also good motivation because at that point you can start learning and then go to the next level, I think. So
Oh, well. I did have one question that it's maybe a bit of a gray zone, but I feel it's kind of important as well to express because I think it's fair to say. Correct me if I'm wrong, but music. When you were 15, you were in Russia at that time,
yes.
right? And you mentioned playing, Linkin Park and so on. Was there? I'm not going to ask you from that angle, but more the fact that you were able to travel to Italy, to Czech Republic, and so on. Did it give you the chance of having more openness, I guess, in music and discovering more, or
Mhm.
did you never feel any restriction from wherever you were? If that makes sense.
I think, yeah, it makes sense. I would say that I wouldn't consider that I had any restriction at that point when I was that age, in terms of what
Hmm.
could I listen to. But in terms of openness, it certainly gave the other perspective going abroad,
Hmm.
because when you, for example, even for instance, if you go from if you go home from work just another way,
Yeah.
you're picking another way instead of doing the same thing every day, your brain starts to, I would say, work out. It's a small workout for the brain, right?
Hmm.
So for me it also was, I would say, the small workout, going abroad in terms of like mental thinking and all that kind. So I would say the new links, the new neurons uh, could could be created in the brain, like when you do new things, and it really, I think it really helped in terms of uh, what else can I listen to? What else can I pick to maybe to use for my music, let's say. And of course, for example, when I went to Italy, I discovered Italian folk music.
Yeah.
When I went to Czech Republic, then I discovered that a lot of people here are into really traditional music. or country music, for instance. So it also impacted the overall view, not only of music but the world view in general.
I got a question that I feel
Yeah.
Pavel wants to ask. It's gonna be, what's your take on Czech music? I know he has an opinion on that, but what's your opinion on Czech music?
Well, I wouldn't say that I'm really a fan,
He's
but
honest. At least he's honest.
but I do think that in terms of the sound, I recognize some of the sounds that are similar to the folk music I grew up with, for example.
Okay.
I mean, Ukrainian music, for instance.
Yeah.
So there are certain traditional folk elements that was already familiar when I came here, I would say. And yeah, it was interesting to hear the other perspective on the music, and it was pretty familiar but different at the same time, if that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, I see what you mean. Okay, so you arrive here. Did you already have a band? Because we just discovered more how music came around, but when did the band get created, and what was the story behind that? And then, without going too much in detail, because I feel the focus should be more about what the band is about, what's it called,
Okay.
right? And I'll let you explain to us a bit more in regards to your band.
Yeah. So I will just start that by saying that before moving here, I had a band in Russia.
So you already had a band?
Yeah,
Okay.
I already had a band in Russia, and we broke up before COVID hit.
Okay.
Yeah, just like few months before, and after that, I felt I think a little bit depressed because during that time, before moving to Czechia, I didn't really do any music. So I was just writing some stuff lyrically all the time, but I didn't do music. I didn't play almost. I didn't record anything, and that was pretty sad because I was missing it. But I did discover that I work best when I have people that I could share my music with. I mean, the bandmates.
Mhm.
So when I moved to Czechia, I was like, okay, I need to find some people to be able to share ideas with because I don't know, I'm just so sad on my own in that point, in that sense. So and the next steps were pretty simple. I just put the word in my company, and several colleagues just brought me that, yeah, okay, man, let's try it. So my bandmates turned out to be my colleagues also.
Nice.
Yeah, so
Perfect combo.
that's how the band called Nomad Disco was founded here in Czechia, in Prague.
Nomad Disco, you said?
Nomad Disco, yeah.
Nomad Disco. And it's available, I'm guessing, on Spotify,
Yeah,
YouTube,
yeah, like
Apple,
everywhere.
everywhere. Okay. And you have there's one song particularly that you shared with me, which is Praha, so
Yeah.
Prague. Why? I guess that's the first question is, what brought you to create that song? Because yes, you live here, but you were in Italy as well. You could have also called this song, maybe you have, I don't know, but called the song under an Italian name, or a Russian name, or a
Yeah,
city of Russia.
yeah.
Why Prague?
Yeah, so the one idea that got me to that song was actually another song that I already had written down uh, because of going to Italy and being impressed by Italy so much. So it's called Napoli.
So you do have a song.
Yeah,
Okay,
I do have a song, and it was like, okay, what was the reason? Like at some point, I was like, what was the reason that I wrote that? And Napoli was really, um, I would say, the confession that uh, there is just the other place that I felt, I would say, at home. Because when I first went to Naples in Italy, I felt at home because everything was so alive around, even if it was a little bit chaotic.
Mhm.
It felt so alive and honest, and that was the environment that I most thrived in at that time. And after that, when moving to Prague, it actually became pretty calming, especially compared to Italy, compared to Naples, right? But at that time, that was the right thing that I needed, actually. The calmness, the tranquility, and the environment to be able to express myself to the fullest. And the Prague is, I would say, basically this song to say thank you to the city for accepting me as I am.
I love that.
So
So
and
it's a song really where you give back.
yeah,
It's like,
so even in the song there were the lyrics like never long for her embrace, always tempted to run to the southland. So it's like about never long for her embrace, meaning that I was never thinking even about Prague, but then going to the city, it just embraced me as I am and just hugged me, so to say.
I love that. Before I ask the next question, I'm just gonna play the music now, guys. We'll give you a short extract right now, 20 seconds. Have a listen, and we'll put the links as well in the description.
Never long for your embrace, always tempted to run to the sunlands. You see a familiar face, golden eyes and sunstone hands. I'm mesmerized with how you put the nights on. My heart couldn't get any chance in a silver feather song.
Well, hope you guys enjoyed that, and thank you for letting us play the music as well. One question would be, when it comes to your band, are you guys currently playing in a studio here in Prague, or do you play at home, or is it in the garage? Who knows? Steve Jobs came out with a computer idea in the garage, so you never know.
So I would say it's a mix of both. Uh, it's a kind of a home studio. So when we founded the band, we were trying to figure out like what would be the best way to play together and also record stuff seamlessly at any time that we want.
Okay.
And how would it be different from, for example, the situation in Russia? So here we discovered that there weren't too many places that we could rehearse at that are available, like I would say out of the box, where you just go there and rehearse and pay for by the time that you spend there.
Yeah.
Like, so it's shared, right? And we were like, okay, maybe we tried that for a while. I would say we didn't like it so much because we wanted to go and rehearse maybe at any time there and very, very often because we really like playing together at some point. So we discovered that we could just rent out the whole room on a monthly basis and just configure it to our liking with all the acoustic,
Make it your own, yeah.
the foaming, the isolation and stuff. So that's what we did. We just rented out the empty room and we did all the stuff for sound installation, the acoustics, the furniture, the instruments, equipment. We brought it all like step by step, month by month, spending a lot of money, I would say.
Understandable.
But it was still, I would say, the home project studio. It wasn't professional like at all by any means, because to go for a professional studio, you would still need to have perfect sound installation, I would say, and for that you would need to have just a very thick layer of air and then something else to keep you isolated from the sound like outside the room. So, and it's very, very expensive. So we just did it very DIY style, let's say. And because of that, of course, if someone is rehearsing from the neighbors, right, because we are not alone at our place, we are not on our own, we just like wait out, and then if we need to record something, we go after somebody finished rehearsing, or we recorded something at night. So that
Adaptability is
yeah.
key then.
So we had to come up with workarounds.
Yeah. So what's your tips if Shenanigan becomes a rock band? By the way, if I wanted to rent a studio, what's your advice in regards to like in a few short keywords that you would say is?
I would say that our case is not necessarily the best that would fit somebody else, because that's just was
Works
just
for you,
our
yep.
particular liking, I would say, to go for a private room. But I would say that the first would be to calculate the budget. What's your budget?
Yep.
What are you ready to spend on, like
Mm-hmm.
on the studio, right? You can go for your own space. You can go for shared room with other one or two bands, which could be uh, much less expensive than going for a private room. Or you could go for, I don't know, for shared space that is just being paid by on hourly basis, something like that.
Mhm.
And that also is true for recording for studio. There are many professional or project studios out there in Prague that you can just pick and record, right? But you need to calculate the budget first. So, for example, I don't know, very simple example, your room allows you to record, I don't know, voice and guitars pretty okay or pretty good in terms of quality. But then you discover that, for example, if you go for drums, then it's just horrible.
Yeah, it doesn't fit
Because
over there.
because for
Yeah.
drums you would need a different type of sound acoustics
Yeah.
and sound treatment. And for that, for drums, for instance, you could actually go to a professional studio and record it separately. But you could go there just to record drums, and anything else you record at your room, and you still save money.
Way more technical than I thought. Still as it is, I thought I just rent a room and stop playing, but actually, yeah, those details are quite relevant, and thanks for sharing those. Okay, well, Mr. Oleg, who does music, who's into different languages, who's traveled. What does the everyday Oleg does? What's the day job on the side of all this?
Yeah. So, and everything that we were discussing so far, I'm doing at night.
It's
Yeah,
quite impressive
th-
itself.
just at night. Yes. Well, by day, I'm actually product manager
Mhm.
at a tech company. So it's pretty much a technical job. So I communicate with developers, with QA engineers a lot. So we are working on the software. So um, I also read the code a lot, like to be able to communicate with developers, for example, on in the same context. So yeah, it's pretty different from the music side, but it also helps a lot in terms of
Why
ho-
so? Because it feels like two completely different
yeah,
lives.
yeah, but it's not very different because to me,
Yeah.
because for example, from technical side, from technical product management side, you can take something that could impact the your approach to music as well.
Mhm.
For example, the product management taught me to have a strategy,
Mhm.
have a plan, what you need to do, and to calculate things, and maybe to structure
Yeah.
everything. And that's where, like, more or less, I like to think professional approach to music came in when we like calculated budget for doing this or that for recording, or even when it comes to recording just one song.
Mhm.
I know what to do. I know what steps are needed to be taken to go from scratch to the fully like mixed song, and it helped a lot. So yeah.
Okay. Beautiful. There was a, and I feel I should have probably asked that one before. So apologies for jumping backwards on the music side. But um, in your music, there are quite a few different teams.
Hmm.
Maybe there's one on work, who knows? But there's a few heavy teams in particular that, correct me if I'm wrong, but immigration, pressure, wall.
Hmm.
You mentioned already before that writing has helped a lot in expressing yourself and so on. But I'm guessing these teams are representing real life things that you've experienced, correct?
Yeah, to some degree, yes. Yes.
And the song of Prague was there to give back and say thank you. And what do you think was the story behind music, the themes of music, such as immigration pressure? Was it to share a story, or was it also in its own way to hopefully maybe someone listening who's in a similar situation can also, connect with what you're saying?
I think it's both sharing and connecting.
Yeah.
Because, for example, if I, for instance, stayed in Russia, uh, at some point when I would want to express myself, I I think it will look differently in a way, especially when sharing my feelings about heavy themes like pressure or war,
Mhm.
right? And that's not necessarily the topics that concerned me personally and impacted me personally.
Yeah.
I would say that I just have an enormous empathy for what has been going on around,
Mhm.
and that's just a way to reflect on all of that's happening and to um, maybe discover people that would feel the same, or maybe that could um, uh, actually explore ways to help themselves as well.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
It does. It does. I do love it. Would you? I'll close it off there on the music part. Do you think if you were still in Russia, you would be expressing yourself the way you are today in music? You would have continued as you are today.
I think if it was uh,
Like having travel and so on, did it
mm,
help you? And it's because it did with the music. So do you think if you hadn't traveled and hadn't moved,
mm,
you would have probably just stopped there?
I think the music would be very different, and uh, I'm just remembering the lyrics that I used to write when I lived in Russia,
Okay.
for example, even in English.
Yeah.
And yeah, even when remembering the stuff that I used to write, it's very different in themes and the ability to express myself, to put the right words for emotion, let's
Hmm.
say. So yeah, I would say traveling really impacted it a lot. So I think my music would be very different, and I think it would be in original language in Russian. I would say still, because it makes sense. Um, in Russia, it makes sense to market the music in the original language, because then you have
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
more audience, right? There aren't many bands popular there that are singing in English, for instance.
Hmm.
So it would be very different, let's say.
Okay. Well, Oleg, we come to the end of the podcast, and the word podcast itself, it's the first time you come onto a podcast. So,
Yeah.
once again, here you are being curious, stepping out of your comfort zone, let's put it that way. For anyone who's listening, who's moving to a new place here in Czech Republic, I always like to close it there and to make it their own home. Is there anything in particular you'd like to tell our audience who are new to Prague, who might be in a similar situation as you, whether it's for music or whatsoever? What's your advice, I would say?
Like if somebody wants to feel home,
Yeah,
right,
making a place
at
feel
the
like
place,
home
yeah,
as a foreigner.
I would say the first thing that helped me, it might be very, I don't know, um, common,
Hmm.
I would say commonplace, but what helped me is to establish a very small but a very pleasing routine, I would say. So find something that gives you pleasure or happiness, maybe just for a bit, and make it small routine, like maybe every day or every once in a while. For instance, if having a coffee before work makes you happy or makes you feel calm or then concentrated to do things effectively and stuff, then do it. Or if it's walking in a park before work or something else, it also helps a lot. And for me, it was the small walks, for example, even 10 minutes before work, just before starting out. In the morning, I wake up and I don't start working up until I take a walk.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think that would be the first advice, just to go by small things. But also maybe globally would be to uh, not forget to connect and communicate with people, because like people are people everywhere. So I think even in the places, in the regions, or where you might feel yourself like you might not feel it's yourself at home instantly, right? Or foreign at some point.
Mhm.
I believe that uh, even in those places, you can make friends eventually, and I do believe that if you are open enough to be in the context of the culture, to discover culture, yeah, I think you'll succeed even in the places that might feel like a bit cold at first.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Beautiful. Well, on that lovely note, thank you very much, Oleg. Thank you to our audience as well for listening in. As usual, check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. We'll be putting the different links as well to his song. Can we see you play in Prague? Any dates coming up? Any concerts we should be aware of?
Not yet, not yet, because we are actually searching for a new guitarist.
Oh, well.
Yeah. So if you play guitar, please.
Contact us.
Yeah.
We'll give you the Facebook. You can reach out as well if we can help. Happy to do so. Okay, brilliant. Well, that's quite an important aspect to have in the band. Yeah, fair enough. Well, on that note, thank you very much, guys. Make sure to check out the website shenanigans.cz and have a lovely day. Thank you, Oleg.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Thank you, guys.
Ciao,
Thank you,
guys.
Oleg.
The moonlight, cathedrals are starting to dance. Go and see for yourself. There's a light that you surrender. Is there any more sense to hold on to the West? Your back.